Our guest is here, Eric Burilson. Can we bring him in for our final segment? Let's see. Congressman, hi, welcome.
Good morning.
We're so glad that you're doing this. You're our first official guest since we launched the show officially
I'm honored.
January 5th.
Thank you,
Wow, I'm very honored.
So let's talk about this plan. I have a photo. We have a photo, element 2. Let's put it up. The Make the American Dream Affordable Again. That's the name of this sort of reconciliation plan you're rolling out. A lot of stuff in here. You talk about trying to help Americans afford houses. You talk about giving money directly to Americans on healthcare instead of sending it to the insurance companies. You talk about pharmacy and drug benefits, etc. But one thing that I didn't see in this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't see anything about a 10% credit card cap or limiting corporations from buying single family homes. These are a couple of proposals that we know the president is going to be talking about today when he visits Detroit. Do you support those? Are they in this plan? And if not, why not?
Well, I'm not going to speak for the other members of the RSC that put together this plan. This plan was put together by all the ideas of members of the Republican Study Committee, all of the best ideas that are coming forward in that regard. And to answer your question directly, I'm not a big fan of price caps or including caps on interest. And so I wouldn't, that's not necessarily an idea that I would put forward. But at least the president is attempting to try to bring down the costs. But this is a bill that I think will economically is in the right direction. Look, whenever I was entering the workforce in the year 2000, my wife and I, our average annual premiums were around $6,000 for the whole year. Today, the average family is paying $27,000. That is 4 times what people were paying just in the year 2000, when inflation has only risen by about twice that. So the reason why young people today see it as being impossible to afford a home is not only because of the interest rates being higher than normal, but what the real difference is the fact that you've got twice as much money coming out from people's pocketbooks every month just to have health insurance. And so if we don't attack that part of the affordability crisis, then we will have failed. There's a lot of great ideas in this package, including trying to get more homes in the supply chain, which means deregulating some of the building codes across the country, some of the environmental garbage that the Biden administration put forward that caused the cost of building a home to go up. And then in addition, trying to add more homes into the supply that are on the market available to be purchased by encouraging people to sell their homes. So if you, for example, I and many people like me own a second home that we rent. And I hold on to it, not because I want to, because I don't want to pay the capital gains tax. And if we gave some form of relief for people like that have homes or second homes that want to sell it to a first-time home buyer, that will really add a lot of inventory to the supply. And so a lot of these really creative ideas, I think, fit within a very conservative framework, which is what the Republican Study Committee is, and I'm happy to support.
Just one thing that stood out to me, you guys are proposing on healthcare a secondary sort of program that people can opt into. So you're not actually repealing Obamacare, or would you repeal Obamacare in this proposal?
Yeah, so I'm proud to say that my healthcare reform ideas are the core part of the healthcare reform in this RC package. And what we've determined is that you don't have to repeal Obamacare, you can let it wither on the vine. And I say that because if you give people a better alternative, they're going to leave Obamacare. And the better alternative is to take the dollars from your employer, put that into a health savings account, where I call it a MAHA account. In addition, let people put their dollars in pre-tax as well. And if you get some form of government subsidy or some charitable aid to your account, that would go in as well. Let the people then take those dollars and purchase any health insurance product that they want to purchase, whether it's a state-sponsored insurance plan or if they want to pick an Obamacare plan, God bless them. They can pick the crappy Obamacare plan, but I think that people will find better options in the open market.
It's really fascinating to me because I covered the Hill for a decade during the repeal efforts, and like repealing Obamacare was like the top thing over and over again. And so to sort of see the transition to, okay, we're going to let it wither on the vine, as you said, and propose our own option. Really interesting how you guys are doing that and what it says about the politics of repealing Obamacare these days. But I do want to ask you about the political sensitivity of just doing a reconciliation bill again in a midterm year. I have heard from a number of Republicans who have told me privately, they won't say it on the record, that they think this is a big political, miscalculation. They are worried that the votes are not there, that, talking about healthcare in a midterm will just sort of spotlight an issue that traditionally helps Democrats. And so I have heard from a lot of Republicans, and I know you said healthcare is your issue, it's your bread and butter. What do you say to these Republicans who say it's time to stop talking about this and move on and focus on something else?
Yeah, I think that's the political miscalculation. I think that sadly, some of my colleagues are putting their head in the sand and ignoring the reality that people are facing. And I think that the American people demand more. And so I truly believe if we don't go big, we're going to go home. And if we don't deliver, if we fail to take advantage of this opportunity that we have, where we have a president, we have the Senate, and we have the House, and we don't fix healthcare, we don't fix the affordability crisis or a lot of these problems that are facing the American people, then we probably deserve to go home. And so I think that the only way through this is if we inspire people to send us back with bold action and solutions that actually deliver for them.
Dan, Sean, either of you want to jump in?
Can I just ask real quick, before we get to the proposal itself, is there consensus among leadership that there will be a reconciliation bill?
Well, I'm hearing from Johnson that is the plan. So Johnson is on board with doing Reconciliation 2.0, and the president, when he spoke to Congress, when he spoke to the Republican conference, that he was asking for all of these provisions, fix healthcare, particularly find ways of fixing the election process. But the president, I think, is on board with that as well. And so we just need to get some of the conference. I think that what you're seeing is some of the old guard, people that have been around a long time, that they kind of seem hesitant to do that. But at the end of the day, if the president wants to see it done and the speaker wants to see it done, then I think that we need to move.
Okay. So the only other thing, the other going to process, the way you phrased it kind of was intriguing to me. Is this the best ideas that RSC, or is there consensus in the RSC? In other words, the way you phrased it was intriguing to me. Like, is it these are all the top ideas, or if you put this proposal together right now, what percentage of the RSC, just the RSC, would support this right now? I think the way you laid it out.
Yeah, I think that they picked some of the ideas that they picked the best ideas that they think have a chance. And so they didn't pick all of my ideas on healthcare reform because some of them are a little too out there, right? That might be too politically, it might be a bridge too far, if you will. And so,
right. But you get what I'm asking? Isn't that they were the popular ones? Is the proposal that you guys put forward, the outline that we have right now, that we could, I don't know if we can put it on the screen, but it's like the healthcare and taxes and home ownership, as you kind of alluded to. Does that have the buy-in of the RSC as a body right now?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Because even the more moderate members of our conference are ready to take action in some form of reform. And so you've got an interesting dynamic where you have Freedom Caucus members and moderates. So for example, myself and Mike Lawler have been having conversations. We're from totally different ends of the political spectrum, but we're in agreement that we have to take action if we're going to survive the midterms, and we've got to do something big. We can't just tinker when it comes to this topic. And so he's on board, and so we're working together to actually come up with something that we can all agree on.
Congressman, what you assuming the speaker is on board here, have you guys started to talk about what the timeline is? Obviously, reconciliation has a series of steps that one has to take to get the train out of the station and down the tracks. And as you say, the primary season starts, I think the first ones are in less than a month now.
Yeah, I think the real timeline would have to be before the August recess. And so we need to move and back up from that date in order to be successful. That being said, I think that the rust has kind of come off. This conference or this Congress has experienced reconciliation. And I think that having gone through it, the exercise will be easier the next time that we do it.
You mentioned that you think the speaker is, for this idea of tackling another reconciliation bill, but do you know, has he endorsed certain elements of the plan that are rolled out right now? Like, is he committed to, this portion of, this framework or that portion or the whole portion at all? Do we know yet?
The speaker hasn't come out with a formal plan, which is why I think RSC, which is the conservative core of the conference and really the policy wonks of the conference. This is the very group that needs to lead, and I'm glad to see August Pfluger stepping up to the plate. To use a baseball term, he's a big baseball guy, and so to step
Does he
up
play
to
on the
plate.
congressional baseball team?
Yeah, he plays third base. I play on the team. I played bench, so
That's good. So would I if I played. That's good. That's good. Yeah, because the reason I ask is because there's a lot of, you mentioned when Sean asked about how were proposals chosen for this, you said a lot of them, it was consensus, but also what can actually move. But like some of these ideas, like they just can't move. I mean, Elon Musk himself couldn't eliminate more than a few $100 billion worth of government spending and waste. And you guys here are proposing, cutting $1.6 trillion, right? I'm getting that from the federal budget. How would you even do that if you can't tackle entitlement reform?
I think that we do need to lead. I think that we're able to get a lot more accomplished in reconciliation. So we were able to, in this last package, do things that this town thought were completely impossible. We were able to cut almost $1 trillion out of the Medicaid through the waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicaid. We were able to cut over almost $1 trillion out of the Green New Deal, which every component of the Green New Deal is basically a tax credit that's got lobbyists in this town that are highly employed to keep in place. And so this town, everywhere I went, people said that you're never going to accomplish those kind of spending reductions. And yet we were able to deliver that in the last reconciliation package. And I think that the impetus or the desire to do something on healthcare is going to be the core driver for passing Reconciliation 2.0. And within that, I think that we should at least attempt or try to get as many spending reductions as possible.
Or it will be the core reason some Republicans don't want to do this. Because I swear, I've talked to a lot of them and they just don't want to tackle healthcare. But I digress. I do want to just sort of wrap up, I guess, with this question about how you do another reconciliation bill. I mean, putting aside the political calculation, right? Some people's fear that this could keep healthcare in the headlines. There's the margin. You guys have a really slim margin in the House. I covered, the efforts to repeal Obamacare and replace it, last time around, and the margin was much, much bigger. And it was still, a half a year long effort that ended in failure. With John McCain's, thumbs down on the floor saying he wouldn't vote for it. So I guess I wonder, how are you going to do this when, if you have a member that's sick, or, helping a family member who is ill, like you guys can't sometimes move legislation. You have to delay things. Like, how are you going to get the votes in the agreement with a conference that is so ideologically different to actually move something like this? You really think you can do it?
I do, because we did it before. We did it last year with a very slim majority. And look, there's some kind of beautiful dynamic when it comes to slim majorities. What it does is it really puts leadership on the spot where they can't afford to ignore the thoughts and ideas and opinions of the members of the conference. And I think that, iron sharpens iron. There's a lot of, these people, all of my colleagues were elected by their district by hundreds of thousands of people who said that they were the right kind of person to lead. And I think that when you have a slim majority, you're getting the opinions and the thoughts from from all of the conference. And I think it makes for a better product. And so if we all know that we've got to, hitch together and in order to get this done, I think that there's a motivation to find a path. I watched the same thing happen in Missouri when the Missouri Republican Party took over the House and the Senate back in the year 2000. They had a 1-seat majority, and yet they passed some of the most, big game-changing bills in Missouri's history that were conservative. And the reason is because they knew that they had to stick together. And I think that it just creates that kind of dynamic. And I think we did it before. I think we can do it again.
Ugh.
Can I
Speaker Mike Johnson has a lot of stress on his plate then if he's going to do this again this year. Sorry, Sean, go ahead.
Work more. I mean, it does. It absolutely makes leadership work more. But you know what? They chose the job. I have no sympathy.
That's true.
There you go. It was in the
Stop
fine print.
complaining.
Off topic real quick. You've been a leader in the pro-life movement. When the president made that comment the other day about having flexibility on Hyde, how do you interpret that?
Yeah, that hurt. I'm not going to look. I love President Trump, but I'm not going to change my views on this topic. And I'm adamantly pro-life. I'm going to make sure that whatever dollars that the American taxpayers spend, that it does not go to fund abortions. This is a common sense bipartisan issue. The Hyde Amendment was something that Republicans had agreed upon, Democrats had agreed upon going back decades. I just think that it's a reasonable request that we have Hyde language in any kind of solution.
No, thank you for that.
Congressman, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate
Thank
you
you,
taking time and
Congressman.
chatting with us.
Thank you.
We're going to send you a mug in a year or two.
Oh, sounds great.
I don't know.
It may take a year, but we'll get it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.